Hi, everyone. Welcome to Lessons in Life and Love. This is a very special broadcast because I have a very special friend and guest, coach and mentor with me today, John Lee Dumas of Entrepreneur on Fire podcast. And I only have a little bit of time to share this amazing man with you today. But first of all, John, I want to thank you for being my coach and helping me launch my podcast. Without you, it would have been impossible.
Well, I received that. It truly is an honor. Thank you for the kind words you shared about me. And, one of my big missions in life is to help other people get their voice, their message, and their mission out to the world. And, from the first time I met you, I was like, I need to help her get this voice out to more people because I know you're going to have a huge impact. You're going to, be a big reason for a lot of people leading better lives, more fulfilled lives, happier lives. So I'm just excited to play a small role in that.
Thank you. Let me tell my listeners your brief bio here because there's so much to say. But John Lee Dumas is the founder and host of EOFire, an award-winning podcast where he interviews today's most inspiring entrepreneurs 7 days a week with over 1,400 podcasts and 7 figures a year in revenue. JLD has shown the world the power of podcasting and prepared to ignite everyone. And I will have a bottom of this posting as well, where you can talk to John about getting a free course, and he will tell you a little bit more about that. But I met John at Lisa Sacevich, my business coach, and he was up on stage speaking and shared his story. And to me, it reminded me so much of what I help you all with, which is the mindset for success. So John, could you briefly tell the listeners about your journey to become this amazing entrepreneur when you had so many doubters along the way?
I do love the phrase that there's no such thing as an overnight success, because there's not. I mean, we, both of us and everybody that we know has achieved success through just layers and layers of failure and struggles and falling down and getting back up and successes and learning and all these different things. It's just the process that we as human beings go through. So, my brief background is I spent the first 18 years of my life in a small town in Maine. Then I went to college on an Army scholarship. So I spent the next 8 years of my life post-college as an Army officer. And I did 13 months in Iraq as a platoon leader in charge of 4 tanks and 16 men. So like that period of my life was really formative to see, how lucky we are. And when I see people whine and moan and complain about the little things in life, I just go back to, that really tough time I spent during those 13 months in Iraq, where I was seeing the really tough things that most people, get to avoid in life, fortunately. And
yes,
it really has given me great perspective. So after my time as an officer in the Army, I just said, I really want to make a big impact in this world. And by the way, I'll skip over 6 years of failing and struggling, which I had because it's just long, but I just couldn't find my thing until I found my voice. And that voice was, how can I bring the stories and the inspiration of successful entrepreneurs to the world? And that inspired me to launch a podcast back in 2012 called Entrepreneurs on Fire, where I interview the world's most successful entrepreneurs and have them tell their failures, their worst moments, their aha moments, their best moments, and everything in between, and just have a lesson from everything that we've done. And, I'm a big believer that we're standing up on the shoulders of giants. You can learn so much from that. And, the business from 2012 till today has just grown into a consistent 7-figure a year net profit business. Like, amazing. I'm a big believer, not in just making a lot of money, but in actually being able to keep the money that you make, which is one of the reasons why I moved to lovely Puerto Rico for
nice.
some tax benefits, which I love for sure. Yes. But I actually do get to keep the money that I make, which is huge. And to me, revenue also is important for a number of reasons. But the biggest thing for me is, like, the amount of revenue you make, I do think is in direct proportion to the value you're giving to the world. So I think a lot of people shy away from that, and then they shoot themselves in the foot because now they can't keep doing what they should be doing because they have to go get some crappy job they hate just to pay the bill. So never be ashamed and never be shy and never be anything except aggressive about really making the kind of money you deserve and generating the kind of revenue you need to keep sharing your voice and your message with the world, because it will impact people and you'll be able to make a much bigger impact as a result. So I'm just a believer in all of that.
Yes.
And, being able to help, people like yourself and others just like share and amplify their voices. It's my life's mission, and I've been having a great time doing it.
It's wonderful. I remember the one part of the story that where you were saying there were so many people that didn't believe in you. They said, go get a 9-to-5 job. You know, what are you doing sitting there in a room, speaking in a mic and thinking this is
Right.
going to help you make something of yourself in the world? And what was the mindset that you stayed with? I know you had the foundation that was strong, but was it believing in your mission? Was it believing in yourself? A little bit of both?
It was an Albert Einstein quote that I just read, and it just stuck with me from that point going forward, which is try not to become a person of success, but rather become a person of value. And I realized in that moment in time was that I had been for 32 years of my life chasing success, and I really hadn't been giving any value to the world. So I said, what if I shifted it on its head and just focused on giving free value to this world in the form of a daily podcast? I did that, and it wasn't, again, an overnight success, but here we sit today, over 2,000 episodes published, over 1 million listens every single month, a 7-figure a year business, and it's worked, but it took that mindset shift.
Yeah, it's really phenomenal. And I teach my people, you know, always believe in their work, their mission, and it's one day, one step at a time. And there's always going to be the doubters of the world, especially those who seem to love you most. Your friends or your family. It's like, hey, what's with this? But if you have the belief in yourself and in your soul, you can make it. And I just want to say John's course is so thorough, and he and his partner, Kate, are right there if I ever have an issue or a problem. And I'm going to give you a link to share for that free course. John, you want to talk a little bit about that you're offering?
Just because I am so passionate about getting people's voice out to the world, I wanted just to create a completely free and really consumable course on podcasting. And it's called Free Podcast Course, and it teaches you how to create and launch your podcast. So if you just want to learn more about podcasting, zip over to freepodcastcourse.com. You can take that course for free, see if podcasting is for you. And to kind of circle back to a point you made that I really did love is, you know, sometimes it is your friends and your family that are those people that even though you want their supports, you don't get it. And a reason for that I found over the years is because if you achieve the type of success that you want to achieve, it's almost like you're holding a mirror up in front of their face and say, hey, John did it, Riana did it, Sarah did it, Tom did it, why haven't you? And so people, they love you. I get it. Your family, they love you, but they don't want that mirror in their face. And so they secretly might be like, oh, you know, just go back doing that 9-to-5 grind so we can both complain about live day while we're drinking, you know, red wine and watching Real Housewives of New York City. Like,
I call it the crab theory. You know, Maryland crabs are in a barrel. When it was one starting to get out, the other pulls that one down. You know, they want them to be a part of the masses. So it takes a lot of guts to risk and follow your heart and your soul and live your message. We call that the watch me mindset for success.
Ooh, like that.
Yeah. With all the other podcasts, I heard the last number, I think there's 50,000 podcasts out there. What helps you to stay on the top of the charts? Is there any marketing tip you can share or 1 or 2 strategies that really worked for you?
This right here is a big strategy that a lot of people don't take advantage of. I mean, what a lot of people don't realize, I mean, they realize it when they think about it, but they just never think about it, is that podcast listeners listen to podcasts. And so I break 1 day of my schedule every month. I have 1 day dedicated to just being on other people's podcasts. Now I have to limit it because, you know, I get asked over 100 times per month to be on different shows and summits and all these different things. But, you know, I do have a day blocked off where I typically do between 20 to 25 interviews on other shows. And I do it in a batch format with a limited time format so that I can just serve as many people as possible during that time frame and say yes as many times as I possibly can.
I think
so of course,
yes to offers, yes to life, yes to risk.
Yes. And so being on other podcasts is a great way to grow your own podcast because these are podcast listeners. These are people that are consuming educational, motivational, inspirational content, which is what I produce. So they love your stuff. They might decide to go and listen to Entrepreneurs on Fire as well. So I tell a lot of people, make it a point. If you're not on 5, 6, 7 other podcasts every other month, you need to make it a point to get over there and have your time to have the spotlight shine on you during these podcast interviews. Because when I'm the host, guess what? It's my guest that has a spotlight. I'm shining the light. You need to be able to reverse that sometimes too and have fun doing that.
Sure, I agree with you. My business has really picked up the more relationship summits I'm doing, guesting on podcasts. And that's when I said, instead of guesting, I'd like to host my own. And I have celebrity guests that have gone through struggle in life and made it. And that's you. I think so highly of you, and I talk about you all the time. And I
Thank you.
promote you. And it's like, now I wanted to bring you to the listeners and to my friends in my tribe so they understand who you are as a person. And like I said, your partner, Kate, she's lovely. And
She's lovely.
Right there servicing and helping. So if you're ever thinking of launching a podcast, we're scared to death because you don't know what you don't know, which was my position last May. And I signed up, and I'll tell you, I graduated, John. I finished every module. I did a month ago, and it was a lot of content, but I was determined to finish. And then
you have full access to our Facebook group as well, which myself and Kate are in there every single day, as long as other amazing podcasters. And kind of in closing here, like the thing that I said on Lisa's stage as well, that I think is super important, where a point you just made was you went out and you launched your podcast, which is so key, because a lot of people might say, well, if that's the case, why don't I just go and be a guest on a lot of other people's podcasts? Like, you're really just going to go to somebody and be like, can I please be on your podcast to leverage your platform and your audience and yada, yada? Like, where's the value exchange there? Now, Riana, you have this great podcast, this great platform, this ability to say, listen, I want you on my show to drop some value bombs. And if you're interested, this is what I can bring to your audience. Here's some value exchange here. So now you are in this great position of being able to give value and get value, and you have your platform, you have your voice, you can do whatever you want with it, and it's an exciting time.
Yes, absolutely. Well, John, thank you for coming on and sharing your wisdom. I know you're a man running to the next gig, But again, thank you so much over the past year for all the love and support that you and Kate have given me. I can't thank you guys enough. And I love being in your world, and I'm not going anywhere. I'm one of your affiliates, and I will always be out there helping you to grow the message.
Well, thank you.
To believe in themselves and go for what they want to in business or whatever it is they decide to in life.
Thank you, and keep doing what you do. It's
Thanks,
inspiring
John.
to watch. Take care.
Bye-bye, everyone.